Now that we're in the middle of the year, the middle of 2022, 2 years into COVID, obviously the market has changed a ton in the last 2 years and especially in the last 6 months. Some of the hottest topics of conversation right now are, is it a good time to buy? Is it a good time to sell? How are the rising interest rates affecting the market, whether it's on a national level or here in Charlotte? Are prices going to continue to go up? Are they going to plateau? Or are they going to start to drop? All of these things are so good to start going over, and taking a step back is what I want to do right now to reflect on the last 6 months and talk about what I think we may see in the next 6 months through the end of 2022. So the first big thing to talk about is interest rates. Obviously, I've posted some videos talking about how rising interest rates are affecting the Charlotte market. We've seen that they've gone from last year, where a lot of interest rates were hovering around 2.25% to 2.75% on any given day, with an average around 2.5% for the year, which was insanely low. What that means is that borrowing money is so cheap. And so a lot of buyers were flooding the market because money was cheap. Nowadays, they've already gone up and they're sitting around 5%. So they've almost doubled since this time last year. Obviously, that slows things down naturally. But what we're seeing, and I've talked about this before, is only the most well-qualified buyers are purchasing. When you look on a local level here in Charlotte, it means that because there are hundreds of people moving here every single day, there are a lot of well-qualified buyers. So even with higher interest rates, there are still a lot of people looking to buy. So if you're a seller right now, even with these high interest rates, it's a good time to sell because the buyer pool is not that small compared to what it was before. And if you're a buyer right now, it's a great time to buy, and you may have a little less competition. What does less competition actually look like here in Charlotte? Over the last 6 months, we've noticed that because interest rates were rising, it was almost like FOMO was real. People had the fear of missing out, the fear of paying a higher interest rate. And so because of that, they were overpaying or just paying way above asking price. Not necessarily overpaying, but just paying a premium for these homes just because they wanted to get in before the interest rates continued to creep up. What we were seeing when that started happening was typically buyers were offering 10, 15, or 20% over list price. Now, what we're seeing, and what we may see throughout the rest of the year, is more like 5 to 10% over list price versus the 10 to 20%. And so the rate that people are jumping up when it comes to paying a premium for a home is starting to compress a little bit. So for buyers, it's good because you don't feel like you have to literally give your firstborn child in order to purchase a home, but you are able to still get something if you can submit a competitive offer. And I've talked at length before about what a competitive offer looks like, and buyers are still putting together some very competitive offers here in Charlotte. Because of the way that this competition is still a driving force in the Charlotte market, the demand is so high with such low supply, what you're seeing is a lot of growth. Whether it's residential growth, which is kind of a snowball effect because as there's growth, it starts to continue to compound from there, but also in the commercial side of things. And there's a lot of residential growth. It also drives not only residential, but it will drive up commercial growth and commercial demand as well. What does that actually look like? It looks like new shopping centers popping up, shopping centers getting redeveloped, new restaurants, new bars, new breweries, every single day that are opening up here in Charlotte, and it's driving this commercial growth around all of the people that are here. And as more affluent people are moving to Charlotte because of these high-paying, well-paying jobs that are getting brought to Charlotte when headquarters move here, now the city can start to afford nicer restaurants, nicer breweries, nicer bars, nicer cocktail lounges, you name it. A lot of commercial growth is continuing to grow at a pretty rapid rate right now because of the amount of people that are still moving to Charlotte. Now, if you're a buyer in this market, one thing that we're really starting to notice is buyers trending towards new construction. The reason they're moving towards new construction versus resale opportunities is because there's such high demand and so much competition in the resale market. They can go to a new construction community, sign up on a waiting list or a VIP list, and as soon as something becomes available that they like, they can put a deposit down and they can sit there and wait for 4, 6, 12 months while their home is being built. And there's a lot of pros to buying new construction. One of which is you can lock in today's interest rate, and a lot of the lenders, whether it's a local lender or a builder's lender, can do an extended rate lock. where you can lock in your rate today for a long period of time. And a lot of them will actually have an option where you can do a float down. So if the rates go from 5% down to 4.5 or 4.25, you can actually exercise that option to lower your rate and float it down while you're under contract and while that builder is building your house and building equity for you. Which brings me to the next point as why a lot of buyers like new construction. Because if there's a 95 home community and you're number 4 in that community and that builder is raising the prices every 5 homes, well, divide 95 by 5, and that's how many price increases that neighborhood's gonna see. And if you lock in at a certain price and a certain interest rate, while the builder continues to raise the prices, you are building equity without even living in your home. So there are a lot of pros to going with the new construction route, especially if you can afford to wait. Now, shifting gears, if you're a seller in this market here in Charlotte, what we've seen over the last 6 months was obviously unprecedented with the amount of buyers that were looking to buy every single house. I mean, we were seeing houses with 20, 30 offers on them. Because of the interest rates going up, I've talked about this before, we're seeing less offers come through, but there's strong offers. And because of the amount of people that are moving here every day and because of the high levels of demand, it's still a fantastic time to sell. With one caveat, buyers are very hypersensitive to pricing right now because of the mass amount of information and data that's out there. So if you do grossly overprice your home just because you think there's low supply and the market's good, you will pay for that. And what that means is that instead of bringing your home to the market at a good price and driving the price up with the strongest buyer, you're gonna come in way too high and you're gonna sit. And as you sit, people are gonna think that something's wrong. And if they start thinking something's wrong, you're gonna start watching that sale price go down and down and down and down. And at a certain point, you're just gonna be catching a falling knife, trying to just hold on for dear life in order to get the best price possible. So, because the market is good, first impressions and bringing your house to the market with the appropriate price, the appropriate staging, and appropriate photography, and the right full marketing package is more important than it's ever been. So keep an eye out over the next 6 months because you will see that even though we have a smaller pool of buyers, it's still, comparatively speaking, a massive amount of buyers that are moving to Charlotte or moving out of their rental homes in Charlotte. So if you're a seller and you need to sell, it's still a fantastic time and it should be for quite a while, at least for the next 6 months. It should still be a great, healthy market for you to sell your home. So coming full circle and to wrap this up, if you're a buyer in the market here in Charlotte and the payments make sense, don't worry about the interest rates rising. Don't worry about the prices continuing to go up. And ultimately, don't let your ego get in the way of you buying a home, especially if it makes financial sense for you. And on the flip side, if you're a seller and you have a healthy net proceed that you can get from selling the home, especially if you have something that you can invest that money into, do it. Now is a great time to list a home and it's still a great time to buy a home. And so ultimately, don't let your ego get in the way. Don't try and time the market. And if it makes sense for you, do it. And most importantly, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe so you can keep getting more videos like this. And I'll see you next week.